Hi, folks. Thanks for sticking around. Just before I get started telling you about LoopBack, I want to point out IBM's call for code, which is happening in conjunction with the Red Cross and the United Nations Office of Human Rights. So if you would like an immediate way to practice compassionate coding, please go to callforcode.org and sign up. We're asking developers to answer the call for code and create applications that help mitigate the effects of natural disasters. So, here we go. Hi, I'm Erin McKean. I'm a developer advocate for IBM. I also run WordNik, which is the world's biggest dictionary that nobody's ever heard of. Excellent. I like to put this slide up, even though it's not true. It just makes you feel like you made the right decision to be here. So I'm going to talk about LoopBack tonight very, very quickly. It is an open source framework for rapidly generating APIs in Node. It's open source, maintained by IBM, based on Express. How many people here have used Express? Yeah, if you've used Express, LoopBack will feel very happy. It's free to use. You can deploy a LoopBack application anywhere you can deploy a Node application. And I think the number one reason to use LoopBack is because it's fast to develop in, which means you can get things up and running and prototyped faster. So I like to describe LoopBack as like cake mix for APIs. Basically, you have LoopBack, you stir in your data, and then you have a delicious cake. How many people like cake? How many people like baking cake as much as you like eating cake? We have a few bakers here, but most people like having cake more than they like making cake, and I feel the same is true for APIs. So I'm going to show you some interesting data tonight, which is open source data. It's has anybody ever seen an apple? Yes. Has anybody ever seen the sticker on an apple and noticed the little number? That is managed by the International Federation of Produce Standards, a body that I think we all aspire to membership in. And they have a lot of data about these PLU codes, but in order to get at it, you have to use an interface that looks like this. But they also have an export all button, so you can get all the PLU data, which looks like this. Nice JSON, easy to use, and then you can make all the fruit and vegetable stickers your little heart desires. But I've put a lot of it into a Mongo database that I'm running locally. And in order to do this at home or with me in the next couple minutes, you should have Node and NPM installed, have installed the LoopBack CLI. You can also deploy your application once you've made it to the IBM cloud. There's a link there to do that. It also helps to have one of these. I think you all know LaCroix. All right, so let's do it, right? Everybody can see this? Should I make it a little bit bigger? All right. So in order to make a LoopBack application, I just type LoopBack app. Oh, actually, no, the demo gods are... and so I'm not going to call this app temp because that would be terrible. I'll call it FHTML, and it'll be in that directory. I'm going to use the current version of LoopBack, 3.0. 4.0 is in development and is in developer release. So if you want something exciting, check that out. I'm going to make an empty server because you're all my friends here. I'm not going to make you authenticate to this API. And now the friendly wombats at NPM are going to do their job and install a bunch of stuff for me. LoopBack's kind of like a three-legged stool. I'm now scaffolded the app, and this is the part that really most people don't get. You actually have to change into that directory for the next steps to work. So I've scaffolded an app, and you can see there then all the normal folders you would expect from a Node application. So now I'm going to add a data source. So I already have Mongo running locally on my machine. So I'm going to call this Mongo. Look at all these databases that LoopBack connects to. IBM's DB2, IBM MQLite, IBM CloudNet, but also Cassandra, Redis, our friend Mongo, MySQL, Postgres, our friend Oracle, REST services, SOAP services, email, Elasticsearch. We'll go back up to Mongo. If you learn nothing else than this, how many people use a clipboard manager? Y'all should use clipboard managers because you only get one set of wrists. So I use a clipboard manager, and I'm going to just put in the Mongo connection string so I don't actually have to enter all the rest of this information. Now we're going to let some more Wombat work happen. So now I have a scaffolded app, and I have a connection to a data source. So the last thing I need to make a LoopBack application is a model. So how many people know what I need to type to get a model? LoopBack model. So I'm going to call it plu code because that's what the data is. I'm going to use the data source that I just created. I'm going to make a persisted model in case I invent a new species of apple that I need to assign a new code for, then I can save more data to the database. I definitely want to expose it via an API. That's the whole point. It doesn't need a custom plural. I'm going to put it in the common folder, so in case I ever feel the need to write front-end code for this API, I can access it from this folder. And let's add some property names. So these things are actually commodities, and it's a string, and it's required. It has no default value. And then they also have category in the data, which is a string, not required, no default value. And I think they also have a date added property, which, as you might expect, is a date and not required. Now, if the demo gods have smiled upon us, we should have a working API. So I'm going to refresh this. So you can see I did it earlier, plu test. Now this API is called SF-HTML. So let's make this a little bit bigger so you can actually see what's going on. All of these colorful lines, this is a Swagger 2.0 Swagger UI. Has everybody seen a Swagger UI before? Yeah. These are all the endpoints that have been automatically generated by all that stuff that I just did in the terminal. So let's see if we've got any data. Hey, we have 1,468 records. Let's find one so we can see what it looks like. Hey, all right, how about them apples? Yeah, so that's how you can make an API in 5 minutes with LoopBack. Thank you very much for your time and attention. So I'll take the last couple seconds. If this is the cell phone slide, if you want more information, this is up in a repo that you can play with, including the data. Sign up for a free IBM Cloud Lite account. If you want to do a more elaborate example with LoopBack, there's a code pattern. I should really be running all my databases in Docker containers, and so I wrote up a way to tell you how to do that because it makes life easier. And again, here's the link for call for code. Everybody taking a picture that wants a picture? Awesome. Here's another one. This is just loopback.io is where all the docs are. There's actually a full-time person who works on LoopBack documentation, which means it's really good. It tells you all the things you want to know. You can ask questions at all the normal places that you ask questions in, and people actually answer you, more or less, most of the time. So,
does that previous page allow us to replicate what you just did?
Yes, that GitHub repo has everything you need to do what I just did, except for this. You have to get your own LaCroix. Yeah. So anyway, if you want to follow me on the things where you follow people, this is where you can find me. Thanks so much for your attention.